League is actually, to me, is just a little piece of the puzzle of what makes this community unique.
To me, Charity League is just such a great support for kids in Shelby County. It really brings together women in our community who want to do good, and I can't think of a better place to do good than for children. They're the future of our community.
And I wanted to make a difference in a child's life, and not only in a child's life, a difference in our own community and be a part of something so unique.
It means giving a little bit of my time, but making a big difference in somebody else's life.
Charity League means, a new coat for a kid throughout winter, a new pair of shoes for the first day of school, and even the major necessities that kids don't get every day that I think are overlooked throughout the community.
Because without us, I can't imagine. That's the ironic thing of life, is we never know until we don't have something.
There was a local fire around the holiday season, and we were able to provide clothes and toys for that family in a time of despair for them, and hopefully we make their holiday season a little bit brighter.
It was my second year in clothing distribution, and I had shopped for a few kids, and I had taken these clothes to the organization and dropped them off. And when I dropped them off, the staff member came up to me and said that these kids are really going to appreciate these clothes, and had continued to say that every morning these kids come to school in the clothes that they wore the night before. What they do is they get a shower, she exchanges their clothes for a new set of clothes, and then she takes those clothes back and washes them. Completely blew me out of the water that somebody was willing to do that every single day of the year. And her next comment to me was, "Don't worry, these kids are very appreciative. They say that their mom is doing the best they can."
As the note had mentioned, that they really didn't have a lot of money, and that the great-grandmother was actually taking care of this teenager. And with talking to the family, we found out that the sister was actually being raised by the grandmother as well. And we were able to come together and not only get them clothes, but we were able to give them toys for Christmas so that they had a fantastic Christmas. Because unfortunately, they didn't choose to end up where they are at, and their grandparents and their great-grandparents, had already raised their children and weren't expecting to have to take in those kids either. So it meant so much to this family to be able to provide and help make their Christmas a little bit better.
2 years ago, I was working the doors at our craft show, and one of our former members, Shanna Barhorst, came up and handed me some money and told me, Shanna's a pharmacist at CVS here in town, and she was talking with her coworkers about what Charity League does, about the craft show, and how great it was. And there was a gentleman waiting to get his prescription filled. He stood up and came to the counter and said, "I was one of those kids that Charity League helped years ago. I didn't have anything, and Charity League bought me clothing, and it meant so much to know that I had something that was new and was my own, and that somebody had cared enough to do that for me." This gentleman reached in his pocket and handed Shanna some money and said, "Please give this to Charity League to pass on and to help someone else." The really cool thing about the story, and the thing that always kind of gets me teary when I tell this, is that he was only filling half of his prescription because he couldn't afford to fill the entire thing. He didn't have money to give, but Charity League had touched his life enough that he wanted to take what little money he had and pay it forward.
Like I said, it's another example of why we do what we do. My name is Jessica Forkamp, and I am the current president of Charity League. We are in our 81st year. We started back in 1934. A group of women started this organization because they saw a need in this community of children out and about that didn't have the basic necessity clothing and Christmas gifts. And they built upon that, and we've been an independent, self-sufficient organization ever since. And we consist of almost 40 women, and each and every single one of us contributes in a way that makes us be able to complete our mission.
To buy clothes for kids in Shelby County, and on average we can shop between 300 to 350 kids per year, and the average amount that we spend for kids is around $130, and with that we can buy them about 3 to 4 outfits, a new pair of shoes, as well as a new coat.
Charity League basically gets referrals from over 36 different agencies here in town, from Safe Haven to the Alpha Center to our local school systems. I mean, a lot of agencies in this community depend on us for what we do. We basically go in and provide clothing, basic necessity clothing, to children who otherwise wouldn't have that. We get calls all the time for a child that may not have a pair of shoes, and we go out and we purchase new things that otherwise this kid would not even have. and that includes Christmas gifts. I can't imagine a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old not being able to have a Christmas that morning on Christmas Day to open up a gift. And it's just heart-wrenching to me as a mother. And like I said, it's a very unique thing that we have here in this community, and that's the small town love that we have.